Welcome once again to The Sage, and thank you for being with us. We are particularly grateful for your journey with us at this time. The past year has been a particularly significant one in the history of our country. And therefore, for the past year, even as we discussed our major occupation and objective, which is youth empowerment in totality, we knew we couldn't be divorced from the important things happening in our country, from the forthcoming in 2022, that is, national elections, and the fact that leadership in this country is so central to progress and so central to youth development. You cannot separate one from the other. And so early in 2022, we did put out a call of action, calling on fellow citizens, calling particularly on young people, to all come together, to mobilize ourselves as a people, to use the forthcoming elections maximally to choose the right type of leadership, to, if possible, do what we have been unable perhaps to do concretely in the past, in previous elections, really focus not on tribe and tongue, on political parties, on divides, but on our unity, on progress for this country, to choose the right type of leadership necessary to truly move our country forward. At the time we made the call, many thought we were dreaming, we were dreamers, we were idealists. And yet, we saw it indeed come to pass in early 2023. By the time the elections were gearing up, we saw unprecedented interest, an unprecedented wish by a great number of people in this country for the right type of leader. And so we again called, asking people to come out to vote. We all witnessed and were active parts of that voting and that electoral process. We were part of our country. Some of us were exulting, many of us grieved, but that is life. And so after a respectful period of relieving what we felt had happened, what had gone wrong, what had gone right with the 2023 election, we are back on the primary call we put out early in 2022, which was a call for us to work together for the common good of our country. That is the bottom line. That is what is most important. That is work that cannot be shelved. And so no matter what the election outcome is, no matter on which side of the divide you may be, our common goal remains. We can go back on it. We must all jointly work to make our country truly great. It is a great country, and we are a great people. And so last week, we started the journey forward by what we called it stock taking, looking at life again and recognizing that despite anything that may be happening around us, despite any satisfaction or disappointment we think we may have experienced during the election as a result of the election, that there are still many wonderful things that we as a people do. And that many of us, the vast majority of us, have wonderful achievements which we need to recognize, celebrate. And so for us on C4C, we shared with you in the past 2 episodes the journey of our wonderful young entrepreneurs. We reminded you that for us, we glory, we triumph in the fact that we have been able to, a large extent, create the change we wanted. That we have helped and supported many young people who have established their business, who are resilient, who are hardworking, whose business is progressing, but who are committed Nigerian citizens, determined that no matter what comes, they will do their part to make this country the great place it is. And so in this episode, we take another step forward. We think the right place to start in our forward movement is for us to look candidly, dispassionately at the 2023 election, both national and state levels, and recognize that despite anything that may have gone wrong, that there were huge achievements to celebrate and to be proud of. Achievements which we must never lose sight of. I think some people may be saying achievements. Yes, I repeat that. Achievements. There were many. There were landmark achievements. Permit me to share some. The first one to my mind is the fact that never in recent times have we witnessed such unprecedented interest in making a difference in an election in this country. I call it an unparalleled show of patriotism. Pre-election, during the election, and continues to a certain extent post-election. People came together. Nigerians were determined and committed to making our country a great one, to doing their very best to put the right leadership in place. And I have facts to prove this. We witnessed, all of us, an unprecedented involvement and turnout during the election. Let me use statistics to back this up. According to figures by INEC itself, by the National Electoral Commission, approximately 93 million people registered to vote in 2023, compared to 84 million in 2019 and 68 million in 2015. Of these 93 million registered voters in 2023, 87 million, that is the 93% of them, actually collected their PVCs so that they will be positioned to vote. So 93% collected their PVCs compared to 83% in 2019 and 78% in 2015. And amongst this 93 million voters that registered in 2023, 75% of them were indeed young people. But more amazing, totally amazing to me, is the fact that of these, 78.7% were first-time voters. Unprecedented. Huge turnout. A large bulk of the turnout, a large bulk of the intending voters were young people. And I think the actual election itself bore this out. They were out there en masse. So that is the first one. the huge interest and participation in the voting exercise. The second important achievement was what I found exceedingly touching. The extent of camaraderie, bonhomie, brotherhood, love, common sense of purpose. You are my brother, you are my sister. We're all there, committed to the same thing. We all have a common purpose. We're all here for the good of our country. We all want to make our votes count. It was so tangible. It was almost palpable. You could almost touch it. The fellowship was at all levels. We could see that fellowship in most of the states. Yes, there were pockets of violence here and there, but the vast majority of polling units witnessed exceptional love and fellowship. We as a Nigerian people were proud to be Nigeria. We saw ourselves as Nigerians. There were many, many stories. In my polling unit, people were buying water and sharing. Some people went and bought water, giving to the officials themselves so that they wouldn't tire, they could continue their effort. I heard stories of where people cooked and were sharing at their polling units. There were numerous, the press reported it, numerous stories and anecdotes. The social media were rife with it, where people brought logistic support to make sure the voting was unimpeded. People brought generators, people brought ink, people brought pen. There was nothing people were not bringing. And despite the logistic challenges, voters stayed on with tenacity. In some places it was raining, voters stayed on. For some it was extremely hot in the sun with no shades, voters stayed on. Because of the logistic hiccups, voting took much longer than expected. There were anecdotes of people who had to stay till early the next morning to finish voting, to be there for votes to be counted, and to do their best to encourage officials to transmit those votes live as we were promised. Yes, it was an unparalleled act of patriotism. We must never forget that. It was Nigeria, the Nigerian people at their best. So that, to my mind, is a second achievement. The third achievement is one that I am particularly proud of, because these people represent for us on the stage and in Conversations for Change our constituency, the young people. We have already seen from the INEC voters' records that youth registration, youth participation was unparalleled in 2023. But more than that, we witnessed an amazing youth interest and youth participation through all the stages of the preparation leading up to the election itself. Foremost among this would be the youth movements that sprang up across the country. Some felt it was an offshoot of the NSAS movement. Many of us recognize one of the major arms of it as what came to be known as the obedient movement. But there were many youth movements. They were vocal. They were committed. They worked. And for me, they demonstrated renewed hope in the potential of this country. Young people across the country suddenly found themselves believing once again that they could make a difference. That if they mobilize their strength, the strength they have in numbers, and express their faith in the fact that they could indeed put in the kind of leadership that this country requires, capable, qualified, committed individuals, that they could do their bit in turning Nigeria into the great country it needs to be for them and for their offsprings. And so the youth movement was beautiful and continues to be beautiful. Because this is a movement. I say to the young people, this is a movement you must never allow to die. Nothing good comes easy. And so yes, to my mind, that is the third major achievement. But there are more. And we will go into that, even as we ask you, before we come back next week, to dwell on that. And try yourself to identify more achievements. There are many achievements. And this episode, this discussion, this interaction we're having with you is crucial. Because if we lose sight of our achievements, then we have lost our way. Because these achievements need to be built on. We have managed in this election to do what has perhaps never been done in our dear country. And so we must recognize these achievements. We must candidly do a post-mortem of our collective action in 2023. Rejoice in our achievements and build on them. And so yes, it's a crucial exercise. For when we recognize the good we've done, that is when we can measure what needs to be done ahead and indeed be able to embark effectively on the forward journey. So stay with us. Join us next week as we come back to finish this very, very important discussion in articulating and recognizing and internalizing our achievements as a prelude to discussing the way forward and the things we concretely need to do together to achieve our common objective of the good, achieving the good for this country, for all of us. Thank you for being with us. See you next week. Don't go away.
We must come together, work for peace, work to uphold our unity, show strength, show faith, one and all. Oh, come, cast aside ethnic rivalry, cast aside religious bigotry, show strength, show faith, one and all. Let's sing a song, let's sing a song. A song of love is all we need. Work for peace, let's fight for peace, one and all. We must work for peace. Together, break the chains of greed and hate. Work for peace in place of war. Show strength, show faith, one and all. Oh, come. Every tribe, every tongue be on guard. Stay strong, together we'll defeat. Show strength, show faith, one and all. Let's sing a song, let's sing a song of humanity, great humanity. Let's kill the walls, let's kill the walls. We must fight, we must fight, fight, fight. We must fight for peace. But we must work, work, work. We must work, work, work. We must work, work, work. We must work for peace.